Hello, my friend. There comes a point in all of our lives where we have to take stock and ask ourselves, what do we mean by being a good human being? Oh, wow, that is a huge one, isn't it? As always, I look at that in layers. So, obviously, we've been gifted this amazing vehicle called the human body. And that is so fabulously ingenuous and so complex that there is much to learn about how to honor that body, how to do right by it, how to keep it up, how to smooth it out, how to sculpt it, how to use it to best effect. So that in itself is a whole story. All the skills you can acquire, all the things you can do with that body, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? So that's the first port of call. It's how you look after that body. And how, depending on your age and phase in life, you deal with its basic requirements. Its requirement of sleep, first of all, because you can't just run it ragged. That's the first thing you learn. You can't just run your body ragged. You have to give it pauses and you have to let it rest in a proper way so that it is renewed, as it were, every day. So that's the first thing you figure out about your body, when you're grown up, that is. But of course, the things you learn as a kid, which are basically about using your body, should stand you in good stead. And how to enjoy it, how to enjoy walking and running and swimming and breathing, how to enjoy just being alive inside of that body and use it for all manner of things that are useful and pleasurable. So that's the first layer. And it's very important to keep that going. So you find all kinds of new things about that. You find out how important it is to look after your physical environment properly, to do what you have to do in order to cultivate the earth, to get food from it. And if you're not going to do that yourself, what it is you're going to do to help others provide you with that food, which means you earning money in some way so that you can afford to buy other people's produce. But actually staying in touch with that process and cultivating a little bit of the earth yourself is highly recommended, I think, to keep that feeling of your body in space. Learning how to get on with other people, I've spoken about that many times before. It's hugely important. And I think what you discover is that once you can hold your own with other people, which is the first port of call, then it becomes very much about how you can be of value to others. In the same way in which once you have learned to be in charge of your body in a good way, you can then use that body to extract nutrients and drink and everything from the earth. So it's all about learning the skills and then applying those, first of all, to be self-sufficient and have what you need in order to survive in a good way, and then to see what you can create and do that is of value and can be added to the world. So this is basically how you create a sense of self-respect and how you can build up that relationship to yourself. It is to have a conversation with yourself about what you need to do each day, what is right for you to do each day, and what can be expected of you each day, or rather what you expect of yourself each day. And as you have this conversation, there'll be many times when you realize you've let yourself be bamboozled by others, or you've let yourself taken in by the world, or you have let yourself become estranged or alienated from it, or you have lost the will to live and forgotten why you're doing all this, and you'll have to recalibrate yourself. And you'll have to do that not just by looking inside and feeling what you feel and thinking what you think and then putting some order in all that to get an understanding, but also in terms of asking those bigger questions that connect you to the outside world way, way beyond you, and that make you aware of what the overall framework of meaning is that you are fitting into. And you may put, particular meanings on that you have been given by others, by society, by religions, by various ways of framing things. But it's very important that you find the independence of thought to start thinking about that in your own way too. What does it mean to stand in a field on your own and to know that you have had a good sleep, that you've had breakfast because you have had the forethought of buying food for yourself for the next week, with enough bread to make toast every morning, with enough vegetables to create a meal, with enough eggs to create enough omelets, whatever it is that you feed yourself with. But I like to think about that in very simple terms. You know that you're looking after that, and you know that little house you've got, the little space in the world where you can sleep and be safe, you're keeping that clean. And every day you do something small to, make sure your toilet is clean again after you use it, or your wash basin is rinsed out after you brush your teeth. That's another thing. You look after your teeth because you don't want to lose them. So that has all sorts of implications, wider and wider and wider. How should you live? Well, you should live in such a way that you make minimal demands on others and on the environment and on your body, but you use everything you've got to the best effect possible. And when you start to build up a regime of being good and youthful and true to what is actually the case, rather than do special pleading and feeling that the world owes you a living, or owes you kindness, or owes you happiness, or owes you a better childhood, or owes you a better job. Nobody owes you anything, and certainly the world doesn't. You are here as this body with these abilities, and it is up to you to maintain that, to improve that, and to create more value for yourself out of that, and into the world also for the world, so that you become part of this whole system, which is about give and take, and is about fairness and reciprocity and exchange, but which often gets misused and messed up by people who become rather selfish about the way they go about all that. So I think it's really important that we train kids how to think about that and have that broader perspective and that sense of personal responsibility in that four-dimensional way to the body, to society, to their inner world and their self, and to the wider framework of meaning that we are all a part of. When we start working in that way towards our own future and our own present, our own way of being in the world, things begin to make more and more sense. It is as if gradually the pieces of the puzzle are put together. I think I've said enough for one morning. I wish you well with your puzzle. Don't do special pleading. Be tough on yourself, but also be extremely kind to yourself and learn to see all the goodness that's been given to you to work with, and make something of it, my friend, without seeing the negatives all the time and complaining about them. Start to see what you can do and how you can do things in a way that are more enjoyable and better for you and everyone else. And you will come to a much better future. Be well. Take care.